Hey, welcome to 2 Cents, everybody. I think this is episode, 49? I want to say.
Almost at 52.
Almost 52. It's almost been a full year. It's kind of scary to say that. This is the Dollar Reviews After Show. You know, if you've listened to any of our actual Dollar Reviews content, we do reviews. It's usually movies, sometimes TV shows, or in the case of the one that you could listen to from this week, video games as well. We just did a double feature of The Nice Guys and Uncharted 4, and then Steve also talked about the latest IMAX documentary. We also do Debt to Cinema, which is kind of like our debt to our list of shame show. So we have Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Bulworth coming out next week. A couple other things down the pipeline. The Red Shoes, was it July or something? August?
Oh, it's August. That's the plan, anyway.
It's the plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, we push out content all the time, and we've been doing it for officially a year now, which is kind of scary. And you can see all that stuff on the internet, dollarreviews.net, also on Twitter and Facebook at Dollar Reviews. Find it on YouTube, SoundCloud, like TuneIn, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play Music, just about anywhere. I'm Brian Gillis. I'm on Twitter at...
I'm Steve.
Oops. See, I tried to do something different, and you tried to cock-block me.
Yeah, no. I wonder if part of it's like the Skype signal, because then I start talking, and then you don't stop
that
like
one
5
was gonna.
seconds
No,
later.
that one was gonna be on time. It's just I was trying something different.
We are never in sync, are we?
Bye. But yeah, I'm Brian Gillis. You can see me on Twitter at Brian Gillis. That's BryonGillis.
I'm Steve Momenix. I'm on Twitter at S_MTX. I occasionally make an appearance, and I'm working on making that more and more worthwhile every day.
I've been pretty
just
absent.
trying not to say that all the time.
I've been pretty absent from Twitter too. So
I've been open about how absent I've been from everything on social media. I don't know why. I don't have a good reason either. It's just I
enjoy.
I don't have a reason.
I enjoy just reading everything on the interwebs on a weekly basis, so I can read it to the good folks listening right now instead of
myself included. Yeah,
and instead of talking about damn, those white shoes are so cool, Daniel, you're so nice, the vines and shit. Like it's more fulfilling. But this is the third episode of the revamped show, which means it's the third version of the third version. That's kind of fun. This show is basically in 4 parts. We begin with Keeping Tabs, where we talk about things that we've talked about before, and we're just keeping you informed or keeping ourselves informed. We go into headlines, which are the major things. You've obviously heard of headlines before. Then we jump into tech news, which is anything about video games or just the technology industry. It's going to be a lot of Google news, as you can imagine, this week. And finally, we do the Also Rans, which is the fun stuff that didn't quite make it into the show, but I felt like talking about anyway. So we're going to begin with something pretty big. It's been a big thing for over a decade now. I think actually closer to 2. I'm sure Steve's familiar, everyone's familiar. Terry Gilliam is finally getting a chance to make his Don Quixote film, and this time it's starring Adam Driver. It is...
Is this at Amazon?
No. I don't know who's doing it, but it might be shooting in the Amazon. No, it's shooting in Germany. And yeah, it's already in production, I believe. It was announced at Con, or at least it's about to begin. It was they were going around. It's not Amazon, it's not Netflix or anything. This is probably gonna get a more traditional release. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it did end up at one of the streaming platforms.
Yeah, and I mean, isn't it Jesus, I swear that we talked about this maybe last week. I keep forgetting this stuff.
Not us, no.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that has been making a deal with Amazon. I know we've been talking about this, or
not him. No.
I
mean, it's kind of confusing because Adam Driver is in Patterson, which is going to be on Amazon. That could be it.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's because I keep seeing Zero Theorem is on my watch list.
That's on Amazon Prime, yeah.
And I see that every day, yeah. I still need to get to that. I think it's been a year now.
This film has been such a struggle for Terry Gilliam that they made a documentary about its failed production.
Before he even got the chance to make it.
That's how historic this production is. So I really hope it turns out well. That's all we can hope for. It is Terry Gilliam. He is, an unsung hero. He doesn't get the due that he deserves. And it's funny, actually.
Just gets bad luck time and time and time again.
Guillermo del Toro was actually tweeting today about John Carpenter and how he makes so many masterpieces and yet no one gives a shit when they're actually released. And that's why he hasn't made a theatrical film in 15 years or something like that, which is just heartbreaking.
Well, then in the '90s, he just didn't make any good films. Period. Then what was the last one? Like Ghost of Mars, I think.
He made I think that was early 2000s. He made oh man, what's it? At the Mountains of Madness, Mouth of Madness. That was the early '90s with Sam Neill. That's really great. You need to check that out.
I had this conversation actually of how very little John Carpenter I had seen because I have not seen Big Trouble in Little China.
Amazing.
I have not seen They Live, which looks awesome.
It's overrated.
I saw a trailer for They Live at the Draft House, but
it's a great cult film. But I watched it hoping that it was an actual great film. 100% iconic, tons of quotable lines, just obnoxious action, and the fact that it stars a WWF wrestler, hilarious.
It's funny, like the only iconic, like really truly great film that's timeless from John Carpenter is probably The Thing.
That's not true though. Look at Halloween. Look how that changed the landscape of the slasher film.
Oh yeah, influential, but I don't think there's a timeless quality there at all whatsoever. It's very much. Sort of. I mean,
guess
people
when
forget you hear it on its own, you recognize it, but then when you're watching the movie, it's like, oh yeah, this is the '70s.
People forget that he does his own scores too. That's all of his composition.
Yeah, no, like
he's a true auteur. It's
like Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, The Thing though, that's probably the one.
Yeah,
it
is
really
the one. It
stands out as being more than just a John Carpenter film.
But that's the thing that's so sad. Like he was tweeting. Guillermo del Toro was tweeting about this. He didn't get praised during that release. It was a flop, and the critics didn't like it. I saw I've seen most of his films. Like The Fog, Halloween, obviously. I saw him in Precinct 13.
Have you seen Dark Star?
No, I want to. That
so
completes the
good.
Trilogy. I did not Into Darkness. It's Mouth of Darkness. I don't know. There's like a trilogy of his films, and Dark Star is one of them. Mouth of Madness is one, and then the other one is I can't remember the name of it right now, but it has Alice Cooper in it. Wasn't a fan of that one. Like I watch a lot of his stuff during Halloween when I do my marathon type things, my binge for the scary stuff. I've seen most of his work now. But yeah, just doesn't get his due. But moving on, this isn't about him. This is about keeping tabs. Video games. Talk about them when we can. Sony, they're going to probably talk about a lot of stuff at E3. That's next month if you don't follow the E3 Electronics Entertainment Expo. Happens annually in LA. Has so since, I think it was 1996. Anyway, Sony's going to be doing their press conference June 13th at 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be watching, probably live tweeting the thing that Monday if you want to follow along. They always, show off something good even when they don't. And you can watch this live on the internet, on Twitch, YouTube, just about anywhere. That's the great thing about press conferences now. It's not just for the press, it's for everyone because of social media. But more importantly for this show, in terms of video game movies, we talked a couple of weeks ago about Nintendo possibly making a Pokemon adaptation live-action movie. Well, they've officially thrown their hat into the ring. They announced that they intend to adapt their, quote, characters everyone knows to the big screen in both live action and animated capacities. That obviously means, stuff like Zelda, Mario, Metroid, Star Fox. But I'm hoping for more weirder things like F-Zero or even, Pokemon, clearly. But if these films work, if they're a success, I'd love them to do like Mario Party or Super Smash Brothers in a way to make a shared universe. Because, you can't make a franchise without that now.
See, I don't know. Making a Mario movie, like when because I've told you this before, I'd totally be down for a Pokemon movie, but it's just not in the way that people imagine it. Like I imagine that you would have to take it seriously to some extent, and you would have to really make it a movie. I mean, you have the world there, and just it's basically the way I keep imagining it as a movie is, okay, do a Spielberg A Kid and His Pet movie, like change some things around. It's probably it's definitely not going to feel like it, but you definitely can play with that world and do something interesting with that cinematically. I mean, every Mario movie, I don't know what story there's going to be in there that I can take seriously in the cinematic.
I think Mario would be an animated thing, just because of the nature of the characters. It's kind of like the Halo curse, the fact that your main protagonist.
We've already gotten a live action Mario.
That movie is not as shitty as everyone says it is. I think
I have not seen it. I've seen I've seen online reviews of it.
We should do a Debt to Cinema. I think you might actually kind of like it. It's not horrible. It's just you don't watch it as this is an adaptation of Super Mario. You watch it as a movie that has really bad tie-ins.
I just don't think I have to do a Ted to Cinema of it. I believe you that it's not horrible.
Bob Hoskins and Dennis
Hopper.
Dennis Hopper. They're both dead, exactly. So you should watch it for that matter, just that reason.
Pizza
also,
jokes.
it kind of killed the video game adaptation for a while. So,
you know what? It might not, Freddy Got Fingered might be funnier.
It's definitely funnier. No, that Super Mario movie isn't supposed to be fun. Well, maybe it is, but there's nothing good going on, and John Leguizamo's barely good in it. But like you said, Pokemon.
Like both their names are Mario.
Mario's
their first name.
Is their last name. No, it's Mario and Luigi Mario. That's
exactly.
canon.
It's the same. Yeah.
That's actually in the video games. That isn't a problem with a screenplay. That's stupidity when it comes to making a video game character. They're the Super Mario Brothers. Of course, their last names are both Mario. It's even weirder that they wear hats with their insignia on it. Like, my name's Mario. I don't want to forget that. Here's an M on my bill. Your name's Luigi. Here's a L. You're bad. Here's an upside down M. Now you're a W. But yeah, you said Pokemon would work, like kid and his dog.
A kid and his pet. Yeah.
Kid and his pet, whatever. Zelda would work even better. It's the hero journey story.
Oh yeah,
literally. You start with nothing, some old man gives you a stick, eventually get a Master Sword, then you stop the only being that's bringing evil to your village. And then
imagine an old school fantasy film like that. I mean, because that would have been amazing in the 80s, a Zelda movie.
Well, you got Willow and Ladyhawk and...
Plus, you know what? If they make a Zelda movie and it's a hit, then people finally start calling him Link instead of Zelda. That could be an easy fix right there.
Maybe not. They should just call him Zelda in the movie on purpose.
Oh, come on.
Fuck it. Like, everyone,
Like, I'm all for saying fuck the fans, but that's a big one where it's just like, okay, no. If you cannot respect the Foundation on the most basic level there, then no.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a success. This is just the latest sign that Nintendo is looking for the future. I mean, at E3... they don't actually have a press conference. They've been subverting it rather. They just do actual. It's called Nintendo Direct. They do a presentation directly for their fans, which is kind of cool. They're going to be showing off the specs and probably the price and the release date for their next console. But this is a good sign. They also have smartphone apps that it looks like they're forward thinking finally, and they're trying to find out a way to really connect with modern audiences. And like I said, I wasn't joking. I think there is a right fit there, especially since there's already been crossover in gaming with Super Smash Bros. And Mario Party and Mario Kart and tons of other examples in their long-winded franchises that these films could culminate with some kind of crossover. And speaking of crossover, Supergirl just got moved to the CW. Upfront happened this week where all of the networks were talking about what they got in the making. It was announced that all 4 Berlanti DC shows on the CW are going to cross over this fall, which is going to be awesome. So Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow are going to have some kind of blockbuster event on TV, which is something that we're also getting from Marvel with the Defenders. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to happen before that does. And that was announced 5 years ago. So... power to DC on TV. I'm excited about this.
But they are made much faster and more on the cheap.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't
even
know.
still, making...
It is kind of funny, actually, just because DC in movies, it's just they're kind of accused as being the ones that are way too serious. On TV, if the spots are any indication to me, because I'm not the one watching them, it's the exact opposite.
You mean their one
the
TV
Marvel
show?
TV universe.
Their one TV
is
show
much more serious. Yeah, I'm talking about the Netflix stuff.
Those are separate, though. Those are the Netflix Marvel shows. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still also serious. People.
But that's still. Is it really that serious?
It's pretty serious. I don't watch the show, but I know on the series finale.
The pilot. I saw a couple episodes. I watched. It was more along the lines of fun, but I don't know. That show has become a mess to the point where even the people working on it, they have no idea what's going on, between that and the movies and how that's tying in.
I think, several characters died on the season finale. That happened last week. But yeah, I stopped watching the show. I'm just like you. I watched the pilot. I watched, the first 3 episodes, and I went, this is fucking going nowhere. No thanks. But given that they showed the crossover potential and how it fits in the universe, especially with, Captain America, or not Captain America, Age of Ultron, that began exactly when an episode ended, there is obviously something going on there. But what I really liked about the upfront notes is that the network chief joked that Supergirl could even team up with their first super heroine, Jane the Virgin. So they're doing fun stuff at CW. It'd be like, imagine like the Vampire Diaries or Supernatural like teaming up with the Flash. He's like, oh, he ran so fast that he got on another channel on another day.
That'd be Jesus, man. That's weird fan service right there. And yet somehow I could see
you could
that
see
happening.
it, right? You could see it happen.
Like I not working. I could see it being done.
It's possible. Anything's possible in this age of superheroes.
Yeah. Seriously.
And talking about superheroes, we got to bring up my favorite. Some people know him as Birdman. More of them know him as Batman. A couple of weeks ago, when Spider-Man: Homecoming casting was, hitting the rumor mill, the big one that I was excited about was that Michael Keaton might be cast as the villain. It looks like he's back in the running after bowing out. So hopefully, yes.
Vulture?
Yeah, that's what's speculated. I swear to God, if Marvel can't get this to happen, please let him be in another blockbuster. He's already been in back-to-back Best Picture winners. Let his reconnaissance.
Well, you're saying the news is that he's back, right?
The news is that he's back in the running. He hasn't signed on yet. It's not like he's back. It's more like, oh, they fixed the scheduling conflicts they had, because it was a money thing. We announced that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in that Spider-Man movie. Obviously, we got Marissa Tomei. Who knows how much money Tom Holland has to grab? Any other Avengers that make an appearance? And then, Michael Keaton, because of those Oscar wins, because of the work he's been doing, he's in The Founder this year. He deserves a good paycheck, and so they were unable to find a balance at Sony, but it seems like they have, and that's why he, hopefully, like I said, is back. But Marvel, the cinematic universe, is getting other people. Thor Ragnarok just added 2 huge names. Well, one on the internet is bigger than the other, but Karl Urban and Jeff Goldblum are joining Thor, the Hulk, and co. in this latest adventure on Asgard.
Yay and huh?
Jeff Goldblum or Karl Urban?
Karl Urban, that's an awesome fit. Are you kidding me? I forget the name of who he plays in Lord of the Rings, but...
Is he in Lord of the Rings?
I mean, yeah, no,
Wait, no, he's in The Hobbit.
No, he's one of the... I think he's one of the writers of Rohan in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Was he in The Hobbit?
I don't know. I didn't see any of The Hobbit.
Shit,
I was going to say, is he
know.
one of the main guys in the party? I don't know.
No. He's in Lord of the Rings. Jeff Goldblum... Huh?
I read it. It's like something like he's like a spiritual kind of being who plays chess with the universe. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. I'm just... Jeff Goldblum is going to be in 2 blockbusters in consecutive years. He's in Independence Day Resurgence, and next he's going to be in the next Thor. That, after being absent from like Hollywood for so long, he's a huge thing on the internet. People love him. Like, you might not be a fan of Jurassic Park, but he's... You can't not smile at his lines.
I told you about this recently. I did go to one of those Master Pancake screenings, and it was for Jurassic Park. I think Jeff Goldblum's just become a lot more of a joke to me now, because there are so many jokes directed his way. Like, there is a great one where, just during the scene, theory. Like right before it transitions, they just have the weirdest conversation. They just start going, "Hey guys, have you been thinking about the Thriller album cover for some reason lately?" And they just keep on going. It's like, yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking about it. It's on my mind. Then it cuts to Jeff Goldblum just laying there with his shirt off, and it's just like, oh,
with his legs separated.
Yeah,
just everything about him in that movie,
just out of nowhere. And it was just such a great joke that was built up. You're looking at the screen while this scene is happening. That's just completely unrelated. Like, what the fuck are they talking about? Oh,
like if it wasn't for the Velociraptors, Newman, and Jeff Goldblum, Jurassic Park would probably suck. But the fact that they have all
Jurassic
3 of those
Park
things
does suck for a bunch of other reasons.
That's just your opinion, and most of the world will disagree with you.
Well, I'm okay with that.
Over $1 billion
does not think the way that I do.
Over $1 billion people's dollars last year would disagree.
The dollar does not indicate the quality of the film whatsoever.
Yeah, I probably will never.
If it did, then that would be a good indicator that Freddy Got Fingered is a piece of shit.
We're talking about that was a success at the box office.
Freddy Got Fingered?
Yeah, it wasn't a flop. We went over this.
It broke even production.
It broke more than even.
Well, then again, they spent no money on the marketing.
Exactly, it was a success, and it still makes money.
It was weird too. Like,
it still makes money on home video.
I remember when I was putting the trailer together for that episode. Like it made no sense, and I was like wondering, is he gonna think that I'm just cutting this like in a very specific way just to make the movie appear stupider? But it's like, I don't know, it just builds him up as like there's a voiceover saying like, God, I'm forgetting his name, but like, Tom Cruise, he's not, or I don't, it's one of those things that just says like, three different things of like, he's not a rebel, he's not I don't remember what it was, but then it just stops with, he is ... some clip from the movie, and that just goes, like, it just keeps on going into something, or no, it just doesn't go into anything. I think he is the last just one. Like the marketing made no sense for that movie whatsoever from what I found.
You make no sense. You're on a time crunch and you're talking about Freddy Got Fingered.
Yeah, I am not. Jesus. I am like much more, if you've been listening to any of these episodes, I'm so much more open of just completely being out of it now on every single thing that we record, that when I listen back to it, I'm just wondering, like, am I making any sense whatsoever?
No.
And
you were talking about the news, and you're talking about Tom Green.
Yeah.
Who hasn't been the news since 2 Cents, like 10 episodes back. I find
any excuse to talk about Freddy Got Fingered, and for some reason that's something I don't even want to talk
about.
That's
a sign of a good movie. It's a sign of a good movie. No, it is.
Stop it, sir.
If something can make you think about it, even if it's because it was shitty, it means that it holds us. It touched you in a certain way. Like how
you're describing the experience of being sexually violated in some way.
Well, the film is called Freddy Got Fingered, but seriously, how often do you see a movie that's just totally
that rubs you the wrong way?
No, not rubs you the wrong way. Just you. No, that's what I'm saying. That's a good thing. How often do you watch something that you really, literally can't give a shit about? You forgot you saw it, matter of fact. You, like, see clips, and you're like, have I seen this before? And, like, a week passes, and someone says, what'd you watch last week? And you're like, I don't know. Freddy Got Fingered isn't one of those movies. Once you see it, you'll never forget it.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, for sure, we've seen movies that are like that. Like, we have a whole year's worth of catalog, and I mean, like, I don't remember Bay of Blood whatsoever, and then I re-listened to that episode.
I said, but I remember Vacation.
I don't remember Vacation that well. I just remember really
you
not
don't remember them singing "Kiss from a Rose" like 10 times.
Wasn't that in?
It's Vacation.
Didn't we talk about that for Batman Forever?
Well, yeah, because that's from Batman Forever. But there's a running joke that's not funny.
I thought that was a part of our failed audio commentary.
That's part of Vacation. That movie's god awful. That's the worst part about it.
I forgot that movie, but like I'm sure if I listen to that episode, then the memories will come flooding back. It'll be like, oh yeah, that did happen. But I mean, has that happened to you where you choose to listen back to something? It's just like, really? Did I say that?
No, because
like, did I actually know something about this thing?
You're not describing my kind of personality. But moving on to the show, things I actually know about, things you're probably excited and because you know about them, or at least you know about them now. Mm-hmm. Transformers 5 has a real title and returning star. So Mark Wahlberg on Twitter announced that Josh Duhamel is returning.
Seriously?
Yeah, he's returning.
And Tyrese?
No, just Josh right now.
And
man. The film is going to be titled Transformers: The Last Night. Like, what? Is that because...
Okay,
is that
whatever. Well, none of the titles are great.
Autobots Assemble. Is that because when, what's his name, it goes into battle mode, when Optimus Prime goes in battle mode, he pulls out a fucking sword? Or, I don't know.
Wait, like Knight, like...
with a K, like the Dark Knight. No.
Yeah, no,
They need
it's a Batman crossover. I don't know.
Age of Extinction was probably the best title.
I like. I don't know.
The Dark of the Moon.
I'm not picky. I'm not. Well, I like the fact that it reminds me of Dark Side of the Moon, and also
that's the point. Yeah,
it played pretty nicely with that teaser trailer where they played all the the space footage.
Too bad that teaser trailer was better than the movie.
I love that movie.
I didn't say it was bad. It's better than the movie, though. It sells you really high.
The opening 8 minutes of that movie, where they go into the space race and the backstory of.
And what's going on and all that shit.
Like, yeah, everything. It's like, I mean, it's just really cool how put together that is.
And then it's a swan dive. It's a swan dive, just like Age of Extinction, the way that movie starts with the dinosaurs. And you're like, oh, this movie's going to be fucking awesome. Look at these Dinobots. This is fucking awesome. cut to 3 hours later and they show up again. Like, what the fuck, Michael Bay? So
I think Dark of the Moon is actually a lot more fun. I mean, it's been a while actually since I've seen it, but like it's I love how the first 8 minutes of that are all the stuff with the space race, and then it builds it up with some epic music to pump you up. Then there's the title, and then you have what's her face? It's not Megan Fox. It's that one British chick. She's the one in Mad Max. Just follow her ass going up the stairs, and you're just wondering like, how's this model in this movie as the female lead? Like, I've never heard about her. How did she get the job? Oh, that's why. There you go.
Because if you fucked Megan Fox, you can fuck
3D ass going up the stairs. It's like...
So almost done with keeping tabs right now.
Awesome.
One last...
No, okay, but hold up. Josh Duhamel's back. Like, yeah, he's one of the better parts of that movie. Like, legitimately one of the more fun for those movies. Yeah, as a presence, like... him and Tyrese, when they're together, like they're the two of the most fun leads. Like they have a good chemistry on screen. So yeah, bring Tyrese back as well, man. I'd be cool with that.
Quick tidbit before I get to my last news item.
You don't have an opinion on that?
No, yeah, I'm for it. I mean, I announced it for a reason. I do like that this isn't like a weird reboot, but yet it's a sequel going on. Like bringing back one character proves that there's still ties to everything that happened before. I mean, obviously we had. Oh shit! What's his name? Not Stanley Tucci, because he was a new character, but
Mark Wahlberg.
No.
Wait, no.
I'm saying, oh man, from not Do the Right Thing, from Fade and Gigolo and fuck.
John Turturro was not in.
He wasn't an agent.
He's not in.
He wasn't.
No. None of the human cast was. No.
Mine must be playing tricks on me. I thought he made an appearance. But whatever.
No.
If the more characters they bring back, the more it proves that's the same universe. Because as of right now, outside of the robots, outside of the Transformers, it's fucking starting from scratch with the same crew, which is weird. But yeah, my last tidbit right now before jumping to the headlines. This one you got nothing to say about. I just want to announce it. HBO's dated the Looking finale movie for July 23rd. That's not the last thing. I'm excited to see that. The real last thing is, you might remember, the internet Kickstarter, they funded over $500,000 for a Star Trek fan film. It's called Axanar, and Paramount, CBS for being pricks, and they said, you can't make that movie, we're starting a lawsuit because you're...
Did they drop it finally?
Yes, they're in the process of dropping it. Yeah, this past weekend...
In the process.
Yeah,
okay.
This past weekend, there was a Trekkie event at the Paramount backlot to kind of hype up Star Trek Beyond. A lot of people were there to do with the movie, among them being J.J. Abrams, and that's when he announced that it was going to be dropped. But apparently the real person that is making this happen is Justin Lin. He was really instrumental. People have said, in particular, Peter Scudetto at Slash Film, at them overturning their viewing as it was infringement of the intellectual property, which, they allow fan films to be made, but just based on the size of this production, not just the production cost, but also known stars and actors, not only from the Star Trek films and TV series, but also just in terms of, the fan sphere. That's why they were scared. And it kind of makes sense given that the fans don't really love their movies to begin with. But hopefully this new one is a change. It is being called like Star Trek Fast and Furious. Or I saw some fucking review like that. It was like Star Trek has now gone beyond what it was and is fast and furiously awesome. So it's like, get better.
So much so that there's a Beastie Boys trailer that everyone hates.
I like that trailer.
I don't know. I love Beastie Boys when they come up in the first movie, but I don't know. That trailer was kind of, it was a bit off-putting. Like I don't think it's horrible, but it's definitely not what people expected. And
as someone,
then Simon Pegg later saying like, yeah, that kind of threw me off too because that's not the movie I wrote. But
as someone,
I get it. It's a piece of marketing that's meant to get people's attention.
As someone who's never seen a Star Trek movie in theaters and probably never will, I don't give a shit about the marketing. I just want to say,
you've not seen the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie in theaters?
No, it's on my home.
That movie is epic.
I'm not a Trekkie. I'm not going to pay money to see a Star...
It's got nothing to do with being a Trekkie.
It does.
It's an epic movie.
I am a Star Wars fan.
You don't have to be a massive Star Wars fan to like that movie.
I'm saying I'm a Star Wars fan, and so I pay to see Star Wars, not Star Trek. Once upon a time, before JJ kind of blurred the lines between the two, you had to pick one. Just like in reading comics, you pick Marvel or DC, I only buy DC Comics. Like I
I
am
pay to
very
watch stuff that I think is going to be good, or that
I'm not a
ends up
fan of
being
the
good.
characters. I've seen a good amount of Star Trek movies, and all of the ones I've seen, I enjoyed to a certain amount, but not enough to want to see it in theaters, and that's my
Wait, so
reason
have you
for.
seen though the J.J. Abrams
No, yeah,
ones, even if it's not
I've
in
seen both of
theaters?
them. I saw them at home.
Yeah, they're a lot of
No,
fun.
yeah, they're definitely fun. Well, Into Darkness less so, but no, they're not bad movies. It's just I don't think I'll ever see a Star Trek movie in theaters just because I'm not a fan enough to spend my money. I can wait for cable.
So you're kind of like the angry video game nerd when he's claiming that he's never going to see the
It's
Ghostbusters
funny you
remake.
brought that up. That is actually a
Yeah.
headline. We'll jump ahead to that
I
right
am
now.
surprised that that's a piece of news that you have
No,
on
no,
here.
it's actually really important to me because I saw that video before there was actually backlash. As backstory for the people out there who aren't familiar with James Rolfe, he is kind of one of the original YouTube stars. He has a series of
Hmm.
videos called The Angry Video Game Nerd on Cinemaster.com and also just on YouTube in general. And
Like he's probably been going for like 10 plus years now,
no,
right?
he has actually, like 12, I think actually. I've been watching this stuff since high school. I love it. Less so now, but anytime he has a video, I watch it like as soon as possible. I've introduced several people to his web videos. They're really funny. Some of the reviews are awesome, especially for the games I own, especially like on Nintendo and such.
Yeah,
And
it's funny because there was a quote unquote feud between him and the Nostalgia Critic, and the fact that you bring that up is that yeah, I watched the 5 second movies in high school, and then I
mhm.
started watching the Nostalgia Critic reviews, and from time to time I still go in just to see what the new ones are, and there's
It's
still some really
yeah,
funny
it's
stuff. But
pretty
yeah, it's
interesting.
funny.
Like
Yeah,
I
they
don't
had a
like the
feud, and yet
nostalgic
we.
critic though. I prefer the
I
video game
don't like
stuff.
the angry video game nerd.
It's
I mean, yeah,
okay.
when they team up and do reviews, then it can be fun. But yeah, no, the angry video game nerd doesn't necessarily appeal to me.
Anyway, James Rolfe, when he's not in character playing the nerd, he also does movie reviews, let's play
Hmm.
with his friends, and he posted this video where he basically said, I love Ghostbusters. I grew up on it. I played all the video games. You can watch my reviews for the games with my persona, and I saw this trailer. I just don't want to see it, and he gives a very it's just his opinion, but he's not negative or anything. He just goes, the fact that this is his argument in a nutshell. The fact that this is being called Ghostbusters, not Ghostbusters 3, but just Ghostbusters means it's a remake. This is supposed to be the new Ghostbusters. There's no ties to the original. He goes even into, Bill Murray and Ernie and, maybe Rick Moranis. They all are going to be making cameos. The remaining cast members that are alive are supposed to show up. But it's weird to him that they aren't playing the characters from Ghostbusters, but instead new characters. And because of that, and the fact that it seems like Sony has no love for what he grew up with, he, instead of being real negative and reviewing it and just shitting on the film like so many people on the internet are going to do, he's decided that he doesn't want to see it. At no point
He
does
just
he.
says, "I don't need this in my life." That's
Exactly. At
all.
no point does he say, "I'm not seeing this fucking female Ghostbusters movie. I'm not seeing the ghost
That's what
boobsters."
people are bitching
That's what
about.
people are bitching about. Basically, they're
Oh,
saying
fuck them.
the editor of Birth Movies Death was David
Hmm.
Faraci. He called him
Devin Faraci.
a limp dick loser. And
Well, that's the internet for you.
no,
You
that's not
get
the internet.
random
That's
insults
an
just thrown at you.
acclaimed film critic calling
Hmm.
another internet staple,
Throwing insults through the internet.
which is fucked up
I
because.
know. That's I.
But like
Whatever.
everyone
Who
was
cares?
really negative about his reaction. I haven't seen his follow-up video.
Devin Faraci's reaction or the angry
No,
video
angry
gamer?
video game nerd. Like even like Patton Oswald. I can't list everyone. I'm sure at this point Paul Feig has said something about it. But he even has a follow-up video where he breaks down like the troubled history of Ghostbusters 3, which clearly can't be a thing now because Harold Ramis has passed.
Hmm.
And I do want to see that. I think it's like a 12-minute video. It should be fun. But I want to see how he responds to this. Just he probably won't. He doesn't have to.
You know,
But
as
it's
someone
sad.
like I have not seen the video, so
Hmm.
like just on principle, like yeah, if it's just the fact that he does not want to see the movie
That's it.
because yeah, it's just like what, I get it. Like I'm cool with different versions or remakes being updated and doing their own thing. Like with Ghostbusters, hey, if you want to do a female version, I much prefer that idea than a straight up remake. I mean, and I
Hmm.
got my own things where I try to be open minded about everything, but if a remake was being done of like Alien, and I know that there's Prometheus and stuff, but like if
Alien,
it was a straight up remake,
I
would probably just protest. Like I would just not see it. You know, it's the same thing with Poltergeist. Like that's
a lot of people
that's
didn't.
kind of a precious movie to me that I just did not see the remake. I was just like, you know what, I'm sure it's not bad. Gil Keenan still needs that breakout hit, but I just didn't want to.
No desire.
I just don't need to acknowledge the existence of a remake of Poltergeist in my life.
It's like Sam Rockwell, you can do better than that, dude.
Yeah, no. So I mean, if it's something like that, you know, then
that's exactly what it is. Because he said.
Then again, if people are responding, like maybe I don't know how the video is put together, and maybe it does come across as mean spirited.
No, it's really not
such a reaction.
It's hit like I watched this thing before the backlash, like I said, and I was like, what? Because the video is titled "Why I Won't Watch the New Ghostbusters." So I just looked at it like, what the fuck? And I watched it, and there's no problem. Like, he's not negative at all. He's not making jokes about it. Like, he says stuff like, does that mean from now on this is going to be called Ghostbusters, and I have to refer to the original as Ghostbusters 1984 or 86, I believe it is? Or he's like, is this Ghostbusters 2016 now?
And honestly, that does trigger an interesting conversation, which is that now everything has just been sequelized so much to the point that what the hell are we talking about when we reference a very specific property? If like one person thinks we're talking about one version, and they're like, it's like, hey, when I'm saying that Daredevil's a great movie, and then someone else is saying it's a piece of shit, it's like, okay, which cut are you talking about?
Well, that's a lesser argument. I'm talking more something.
But that happens, like, especially with Kingdom of Heaven. Also, like, I get into conversations, and that's at a point of like, wait, are you talking about this version or that one? Because that's a big thing. Although adaptations, that's a whole other thing.
No, the real thing is like Microsoft deciding to name their new Xbox One, and now what do you call the original Xbox? You have to call it the 2000 Xbox or the Xbox that was originally there. Because I'll say that to people, it gets more confusing. EA's next Battlefield game is Battlefield 1 because it takes place during World War I. So it went Battlefield, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and now it's Battlefield 1 again. What's the next one?
This is a combination of like overthinking this stuff, but then at the same time, when you're having a casual conversation, you don't reference it. Then
that's when it's a problem.
What are we talking about?
It's stupid. Like if I was at a part, like I doubt I'll ever be talking about Battlefield like this. But I was like, oh, have you played Battlefield 1? Is like what, the game from 1998? Like that is something that would really happen. And are people really so stupid that create things that they don't care? Because that's the problem with Ghostbusters. Like I could, like a year from now, like. I think Ghostbusters is overrated. And then someone's go, what are you fucking talking about? That female Ghostbusters sucked. And be like, wait, no. Like, the original Ghostbusters. And that's his problem. He doesn't think it should be called the original Ghostbusters. It should just be Ghostbusters. It's a timeless classic. It's, broke new ground for what was possible in double genre. It's a paranormal film, and it's a comedy.
Well, that's the thing, though. Anytime that something is sequelized or franchised, you're always going to reference whatever was first as the original. Like,
it doesn't seem like that's what's happening there, though, in his opinion. We'll find out.
There. That seems more like a compliment. It's like, hey, this is the original. This is the thing that spawned everything else that was so strong that it was able to create this entire franchise. I don't see that as a negative at all.
I don't know. I haven't seen the latest trailer. I don't plan to. I'm probably going to see the movie, and that's why I'm refusing to see it. Like, I know Slimer's shown in the new one. I'm going to pass on that. Because if I do see this in theaters, and I probably will based on how much I like Spy and also Bridesmaids, like, sure, then I can't wait to see it. But I'm pretty sure Sony's going to have a flop on their hands.
I don't know. I mean, I have not seen any marketing material for this
you're lucky.
At all.
That first trailer sucked.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've seen the poster.
The poster looks fine.
Which, I don't know, it
seems fine.
Well, no, I saw one of the character posters, which just doesn't seem
the Kate McKinnon one.
Just doesn't seem to fit for some reason.
The blonde with the.
But this is not one that I'm looking forward to. I love Bridesmaids. I like Paul Feig's work.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Spy, but hey, maybe hopefully that Ghostbusters will be fun. And I'm saying this as someone who has not seen any of the material. I have faith in the creative team that's involved that they can at least put something together. I'm not expecting Bridesmaids at all, especially with how heavy that movie was. That'd be interesting if that's the twist on Ghostbusters, that they make it a much more intimate personal story, but I doubt it, though. It's probably going to be more fun-based and more along the lines of Spy in the Heat.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little out of order now, but I'm just going to go with it. Talking about Sony and video games, as most people are aware, the Angry Birds movie was released this weekend. It did moderately well. It's probably going to continue to do good. It was the best, or the highest grosser this weekend. But the floodgates are open now. More mobile games are going to be adapted. It was announced that Fruit Ninja is going to be the next, touchscreen video game coming to the big screen.
What the hell is Angry Birds about?
You've never played any of those games?
No. I mean the movie.
It's an adaptation of the games. I'm pretty sure there's birds that live together. There's some pigs that live together. Plot? That's what I'm saying. It's the games. And
they just fight? That's
no.
it? Like...
Well, the video game is set up is the birds live, the pigs live, the pigs stole one of their eggs, the birds go to war and kill the pigs. I'm pretty sure that's what the movie is. You got the green pigs, you got the birds. The birds do different things. There's the one that turns into a bomb. This one's a boomerang. This one turns into 3. This one's regular and red.
Yeah, see, I remember seeing the trailer before. I think it was like The Good Dinosaur or something, and it just made it was a teaser where Jason Sudeikis just had anger management issues and that anger management, and I was.
I almost did
it just didn't seem appealing to me whatsoever.
Our friends over at Future Horse Pod on Cynical Cartoons, they reached out to me.
You almost saw it for them?
Not like almost, but he asked me, and because he asked me, I was like, maybe. And I went, nah, I'm seeing The Nice Guys instead. He's like, yeah, I don't blame you. So I do want to check out that episode, though. I am curious how that turned out.
I might have done it just for that. I would have at least seen it in 3D just to see how gorgeous it looks.
I'm sure because it's real 3D.
It's very well detailed, and it's Sony, so... at the very least, it would have been good for that, but...
why the fuck is Fruit Ninja becoming a movie? There's no plot there.
Obviously, this works.
No, but have you played that game?
Well, no, I haven't.
Okay, this is
no. Yeah, no, this is the one where you just hit the screen and you just jump up and down.
No, Fruit Ninja is there's a pineapple flying across the screen. You use your finger to cut it in half. A watermelon, cut that one in half too. That's the whole game. There's fruit flying and you cut the fruit. Like, there is no story there. I get it. The movie is going to be some ninja that is good at cutting fruit. That has to be the story. It's just, these two games are the highest downloaded mobile games in history, which doesn't really mean anything.
You know what mobile games are right now, at least as far as movies are concerned? It's like video game movies of the 90s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We talked about this. Yeah, just look at Super Mario Brothers.
Mobile video gaming has only really existed for about 10 years, not even 10. And so we're still in its infancy. These are the surefire hits, so they have the notoriety. They're IPs that are proven, and that's why Hollywood is going for it. I mean, this Angry Birds movie was announced like 3 years ago. That's how long it took for it to be made, and it means that it wasn't rushed. Like, I'm sure the animation is gorgeous. They got a really talented voice cast. But when is this going to stop? Are we going to have a Clash of Clans movie? Like, where's it going next? Because we've talked about how video games are in their heyday again. Warcraft opens next weekend. Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper. We got Assassin's Creed. By the way, that trailer looks pretty kick-ass. I do want to see it now. There's a lot now. We talked about the Uncharted movie. Last of Us is eventually coming because Sony doesn't know how to say no. We just talked about Nintendo and their franchises.
Yeah.
It's scary. I mean...
Well, here's the thing. I've referenced this before. Pirates of the Caribbean, a movie that is based off a theme park ride. There was no plot written for that. No one knew what the hell it was going to be.
And only the first one turned out good.
They ended up... Yeah, no, but that's the thing. What I'm saying is that, they have a very vague premise right there. So, I mean, you can make an animated movie about it. Just come up with the story, come up with good characters, come up with something good. And you can. It really doesn't matter what basically your product is. If you find a way to tell a good story with it, and you find a good balance and tone, then you could very well make something good. Like, no one expected Pirates of the Caribbean to turn out well. People were joking about it,
but it could have easily.
It came out and it kicked everyone's ass.
It could have easily been Haunted Mansion,
Oh yeah, no, but it's and. I mean, Haunted Mansion, the basic concept of that is just, okay, a family goes into a haunted mansion.
No. The premise of that Haunted Mansion is that they move into the Haunted Mansion. And they find out it's haunted.
Okay, yeah.
It's Eddie Murphy.
Okay, it's a one-word sentence. That's all you need. Like Pirates of the Caribbean,
That's hard. That's
some
not one
pirates
sentence.
go after. That's a bit harder to describe.
That's like a full explain it.
Yeah. Okay. There's one pirate that just
there's a love triangle,
and then there's a bunch of,
and then there's these pirates, and then they're looking for the gold, and it's cursed, and then now they're skeletons, and then you got.
And then the basic thing is,
now
hey,
you
it's a guy
Depp
saving his girl. That's it.
Basically.
That when you get down to it, yeah. But I mean, you can make a good movie out of anything. Like I firmly believe that there isn't a bad idea. There's just bad execution.
Wait, do you believe that about DC Comics and Warner Brothers' ideas there? Do you think they can make a good movie about anything? Because a lot of people would argue that's not true about Batman versus Superman, and
I love Man of Steel.
That's okay. But my segue here is to announce...
And there's a lot of good about Batman versus
Sure, there
Superman.
is, yes.
It's a problematic movie.
There is a lot of good, and I'm waiting to see that director's cut. But the news item here is that Warner Brothers has made another major change to try to lessen the woes over Batman versus Superman. And, first it was them announcing that the director of The Flash has left the project. Then Batfleck has became the executive producer of Justice League, and now this one is actually really cool, and I'm very supportive of it. Geoff Johns is a full-on producer for the rest of the DC movie slate. If the name doesn't sound familiar, he is not just the person who runs the DC TV wing, who's in charge of The Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl and getting all those shows off the ground. He's not the producer. He's not Greg Berlanti, but he's basically Kevin Feige. Like he's the one with. He's the brain trust. He comes up with everything. He's the one that gets them turned into shows. And so he's going to be doing that now for the DC films. And he actually, deserves this because he's also the chief creative officer for DC Comics. And he's written many acclaimed storylines, including Flash Rebirth, Green Lantern Rebirth. I think he also did, Infinite Crisis. And more importantly, he's penning the Flashpoint series. Not Flashpoint. That was the Flash show, that Flash line he did. He's penning Rebirth, which is the DC relaunch this summer. So he's very involved in the actual comics. He's involved in TV, and now he's going to be in charge of what they're doing on film. Based off of what Zack Snyder's done already, this is definitely a good thing.
I seriously don't have a dog in this. I'm tired of defending Batman.
You don't have to defend
Superman.
it.
I didn't think
it didn't make the money it should have. It didn't get the acclaim it should have. It wasn't revered. It made a lot of mistakes.
Did it have to be?
It killed Jimmy Olsen as a joke. Zack Snyder didn't even title the character, and he killed him, and he's been in Superman comics for 75 years. That's a big fuck you to the fans. I'm not even a Superman fan, and when I found out about that, I was upset. And if you had someone like Geoff Johns there the entire time, who is already like a Kevin Feige character, and he's going to be doing that now in their actual film wing, you wouldn't have allowed this director who's still not really a proven success. Like, yes, he makes things look boom in the dark really well. He has a great mind when it comes to action set pieces. He's proven that he has some kind of comprehension for comic book adaptations with the success of Watchmen and 300. But when you take two of the biggest superheroes of all time and you put them up against one another and you make mistakes, because the whole movie is a mistake. There are plenty of great things in there.
We could design an entire podcast around Zack Snyder.
Yes, we could.
I have completely different opinions on this. I do not think at all that he...
What I'm saying is...
I think every choice he made was a creative one for a reason. And you know what? I wouldn't call it a joke necessarily. Maybe...
He killed
it's
Jimmy
a poor
Olsen,
choice of words,
man.
how he presented it. Yeah, if he did that, and you know what, that's fine.
No, it's not. If he did that, and no, it's not. That's fine. That's fucked up. And
I'm
he did
saying
it.
the way that he presented, of saying hey, that's a joke. I imagine you don't go into that planning that of oh hey, it'd be funny. It's one of those things where hey, when you're doing that in the script development process, you kind of treat it as a little bit of a light joke. It's not like they're sitting behind a desk thinking, "Oh, this will be fucking hilarious."
No, he probably was doing
not that at all. But I mean, Zack Snyder in interviews, he clearly he knows what he's thinking. He's just not the best at verbally articulating it. That's
or articulating it verbally too. in terms of films.
That's what I said.
No. I'm saying he's not.
Articulate.
I'm saying in terms of films, he's not good at articulating verbals.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's the thing. His ideas are always communicated visually. That's where his strong suit is.
That's what I'm saying.
It comes across. That's the most.
He's a great blockbuster director.
That is the most of.
And when you,
I mean, it's not about making something that's pretty. He's able to communicate something with an image that is able to resonate. And, you know, when he has Alan Moore's words with him, or Frank Miller's, that's probably when they were at their most effective. But, I definitely, I think he got to make the movie he wanted to make, and I sure as hell respect him for it, too.
He's not being crucified
little
here.
Things like that.
Maybe by me.
Well, you're kind of bringing it up.
Maybe by me, but DC, a.k.a. Warner Brothers, is taking the steps to ensure that this, you know, new cinematic universe, or extended universe, in their own words, doesn't continue to be lackluster. I mean, Suicide Squad's coming out, so is Wonder Woman, just around the corner, both of those, and they have a larger slate all the way up until 2020, and I'm just excited that Geoff Johns, someone who does, you know, have a voice in the DC community, is going to be able to bring that voice to the silver screen. And it's not just him. The executive VP, John Berg, who's a producer on all of the DC films already, is going to be working alongside of him, and they're going to kind of be working. It is really a whole restructuring at Warner Brothers. They're splitting up who manages what by genre. So someone is going to be handling just Harry Potter. Someone's going to be handling the Legos. Someone's going to be handling, I'm sure, like the Hanna-Barbera universe with the Scooby-Doo reboot in the future. And that way tone matches the product. Like IP works with what you're adapting. Because when you're...
It's like what Transformers is doing. You get a writer's room together.
No, I'm not saying a writer's room. I'm saying...
No, but it's all... It does have to, like, all fit together. And, like, the single product itself, yes, like, has to fit tonally, but it's in the grand scheme of things, it's all gonna.
No, yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Warner Brothers is creating kind of like separate wings for the type of tone they're making in terms of films. So the properties that they're doing is going to have oversight for one group of people, one group of producers is going to oversee those particular films that they are good at producing, instead of the way it was currently, where just one VP of production said, yeah, go make that DC movie. Yeah, go make that Lego movie. Just go do it. They're trying to split...
That's basically what I'm saying. It is a writer's room.
No, it's not a writer's room. These are...
Okay, well, no. That may not be the right term I'm using, but it's a creative team meant to focus on one property.
Well, not one property, but one tonal property. Like, this is the comedy, this is the feel-good, this is the action, this is the DC stuff. Like, they're splitting up their studio so they don't have any more slips and you know, trips like this. Yeah, like, it's going to be the same studio, but yet it's going to have...
I guess I'm choosing the wrong
It's going to have, mini studios compiled within Warner Brothers, if that makes sense. Because up until the way it was now is... Warner Brothers makes everything, and the same board oversees everything. And now, no, we're the two comics guys. We make all the comics movies, and you can sign our paychecks. And that way they can have autonomy in the way that Disney doesn't control Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios controls Marvel Studios. It is its own entity. Like Lucasfilm is its own entity. Pixar, Disney Animation, it's an umbrella. It's all under the same parent company, but yet they are able to do whatever they want without having to ask a higher power for approval. Something that lacked up until this point, and both, Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman have already finished production. They aren't going to be under that. They're part of that original setup, but everything going forward, including most importantly Justice League, is going to be set up in a way where people are going to have to answer for their mistakes. It's not going to be, oh, I thought it was going to be fun. That wasn't a hit. I thought 800 million was a good number.
Well, the concept of just hitting a very specific number financially,
and critically,
and that being reflective of something being fun or of quality is ridiculous to me.
But it
honestly.
Also wasn't fun in terms of of being fun.
I had fun with Batman vs.
In what
Superman
way?
In places where it counted.
In places?
Yeah, okay, like the entire last third of
Yeah,
the
the
movie.
last third. You mean when you sat through
Well,
2 hours of a
here's the
movie?
thing: is I keep on having to refer to this, but I still have not seen the movie that you saw, and I watched it through a very different lens. I watched it as a work in progress, so I was looking
So
for different things.
it's
So I
almost
do not
like
know.
your criticism is not valid.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's exactly why I said, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable
And you
reviewing this."
didn't.
That's exactly why, yeah. And then I got to hearing you talking about it, and we were mostly on the positive side of going, "Why the hell is this getting shat on? It's not as horrible as it
I'm
seems."
not. Yeah,
We talked about a lot of positives, so I mean,
yeah. I was fairly positive.
yeah.
It just
I mean,
it's
any issue right now is basically the complaint I'm hearing is like, "Oh, it wasn't a masterpiece, therefore." It should have been one. And that's not how art
my
works
point right
at
now
all,
in
to
terms
me.
of this news item is more so Warner Brothers is getting their shit together because they know that if they don't and they start doing something outside of what's been working for Marvel, they're going to continue to have not flops because, as I said, 800 million is actually a good number. That's international, mind you, but more so people like me that are fans are going to be hesitant about seeing the next film, which is something that they cannot afford. They really
I mean,
can't.
that's you definitely want the support of the fans on your side, but for the sake of just artistic value, I think that's dangerous. Honestly,
These aren't really artistic
I mean,
films,
that gives
though.
no, but I mean, here's the like.
These aren't films for
You're
the
just
sake of
taking
cinema.
no,
These are
but
blockbusters.
you're not taking any chances creatively. Whereas Marvel, they are able to do that. They are able to piss people off by. And I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but what they did with the Mandarin, yeah, that pissed off a lot of
The
fans. And
only
yet that
time
movie still turned out okay.
The only time people have been
you know,
pissed off at Marvel is with them whitewashing or blackwashing characters. I think the
I'm
biggest
just saying that
time
Marvel is still able to be fun and creative, whereas DC here it seems like the fans
I'm not
have
talking
on a
about
stronghold,
tone.
and
I'm
they're
just
making
saying
movies more.
they
But
fucked
it just
up
seems like they're
their
making
adaptation.
It seems like they're making movies just to appeal to fans, and I mean, like who the hell has a sense of
DC,
that the value there is.
Warner Brothers was attempting to finally adapt their comic book franchise. They were finally trying to put their actual comics on the screen, not the characters, but the actual universe, DC Comics, the thing that billions of people around the planet love. And they failed. They didn't make a bad movie. It wasn't a shitty project, but they failed at actually adapting what makes DC DC. They did, flat out. That's why 800 million is a low number, because they didn't succeed in their vision. Maybe in Zack Snyder's vision, or whoever oversaw production, but in terms of actually doing what they needed to have done, they didn't accomplish that feat. And that's why I'm shitting on it right now. That's why I'm excited.
I think it's a ridiculous feat to go for, though. Like
it's not a feat. It's what you have to do when you adapt characters that have existed, and not just American fans, but worldwide fans for over 75 years. You can't fail. You can take risks. I enjoyed the risks they took. I mean, I mirrored this during our Civil War review. You know, I was like, I really want to see Batman vs. Superman again. I really do still. Not the theatrical cut. I'll probably never watch that again. But I want to see this director's cut. I want to see the ultimate cut, or whatever it's going to be called, in probably a month from now, to be honest. I legitimately do. Like, it made me rethink certain things.
Though, like,
but they failed.
Yeah.
And the fans know they failed.
I'm just saying, it's a ridiculous thing to go for, to try to control public perception.
No.
And just the financial. Yeah,
when
I mean,
you have people involved in the
so.
creative process who care about the properties, it's gonna be a good movie. It will. Kevin Feige loves Marvel.
People,
he loves those films.
Are you telling me that Zack Snyder does not care about Batman?
That is exactly what I'm saying. When he
exactly
literally tells an interviewer, "I thought it would be funny to kill Jimmy Olsen." When you do that at the beginning...
I think that's wildly interpreted out of context.
Even if it is out of context, the fact that you still kill Jimmy Olsen at the beginning of a DC universe means that you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you should have had someone having to hold your hand throughout it.
No, not at all. Another way of saying is like, hey, that Jimmy Olsen that you love, well, this is not that version. This is going to be completely different.
You can't do that.
That might be a little bit way of setting that up, although
you can't do it that way.
It was never established for me that was Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
I didn't find out till months later.
That's the problem, though. That's what I'm saying. The fact that they hit it in the credits, they hit it through an interview,
It's an Easter egg.
No, that's not an Easter egg. That's a fuck you to the fans.
It's not something that drives the main narrative forward. I mean, as far as I knew, there was a Jenny Olsen, not a Jimmy Olsen.
There is no possibility anywhere out there that a Superman fan was amused that Jimmy Olsen was killed in that film. There's no way. No. And you know why that's a bad thing? Because if you pissed off a fan at the onset, they're going to be pissed off forever. And I'm not going to hold a grudge because I don't give a shit about Jimmy Olsen. I don't give a fuck about Superman. I'm excited about Batman. I'm excited about the way that he was represented in that film. And I have to believe that Geoff Johns is going to make that go forward with not just Justice League and that solo Batman film, which he's co-writing with Ben Affleck. Like, it is going to be a good movie. It's going to be a great adaptation. But Zack Snyder is going to be checked now. He's not going to have the control that he had. He's not going to have Final Cut, which I would assume he got. He's not going to have the ability to go...
No, he didn't. That's why there's a director's cut.
He didn't have Final Cut, but he was still able to get certain things in the film that, in the case of Jimmy Olsen, shouldn't have been there. Someone should have went, wait. This reporter that you're killing, that's no one, right? Yeah, that's no one. Like...
Okay, so just change the name. I mean, what? It was really a nothing.
It was a nothing thing, but after the fact, it was a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, just calm down, fans. Really, I mean, it's.
I'm excited. I'm not mad right now. I'm excited that Geoff Johns is coming
you're not.
in.
It's just, I mean, you are kind of justifying that there is a reason for them to be mad, whereas.
Because I'm one of them. There isn't a. It's not a line where I'm looking between glass talking about these people. I am one of those people. I watched Smallville for a whole decade. Jimmy Olsen was important later on in that show. But guess what? They killed him on that as well, and they did the exact same thing that you said. Like, this is a different version of Jimmy Olsen. They brought in... that you revealed that was James Olsen, his older brother, and here's the real Jimmy Olsen. Like, that was... I didn't give a shit then. I don't give a shit now. I'm just saying that's the small kind of mistake which... has ripples, and it's going to amplify to something bigger.
That that's interpreted as a mistake is still lunacy to me. I mean, I keep things simple. I just judge the art for what it is itself. I mean,
it's not art. It's an adaptation of funny pages. It's a movie version of a comic book.
There's still something artistic in there. Hey, there's always. I mean, this can be an entire semantic conversation of what is art, because I think by definition it's just, hey, anything that can be expressed. Like, I could draw a squiggly line and call that art. I mean, there's
you're not
crappy
Michel Ducamp
in modern
you're
art.
not creating a new conversation. I'm just saying
when
you adapt a comic book,
things artistically expressed in anything, even if it's a comic book adaptation. To insist that it's cheaper, that it's not artistic at all whatsoever, I think that's an insult to the medium.
You can have artistic flourishes, but when you're making a film with the purpose of not just making a ton of money, but selling T-shirts and hats and comic books and video games.
Well, it's greenlit with the expectation of that, but there is a creative team that is given a chance to do something that has artistic value.
That's why Geoff Johns is coming in now, because there wasn't a creative team. There was a man and his wife, and they shat on the properties. I'm pretty sure there's a reason that
you're just insisting that they're not a creative team.
I'm sure there's a reason why Christopher Nolan wasn't involved with Batman vs. Superman, and yet he was a producer.
You mean other than the fact that he was involved in a Batman movie, and he was just like,
no, I'm saying
need Batman in my life anymore?
Outside of him producing Man of Steel and then not continuing through the franchise. He said yes to that one.
He was an exec. But I don't know. I mean,
it was a sin copy film.
Sing as an exec.
It was a sin copy film, though.
For what?
Man of Steel.
Batman v Superman.
Man of Steel.
Yeah, I know Man of Steel was, but I think
no.
I don't know if Christopher Nolan's name is in the credits. I saw it on IMDb. I never saw the credits for Batman vs Superman.
He's not
because my screening
didn't
have them.
It's not one of his films. He's not associated. What I'm saying is, whatever, doesn't matter. Moving on. To other DC films.
Yeah, I've only got 15 minutes, by the way.
You fucked up. You shouldn't have been talking about Freddy Badfinger for so long. Well, here's the important things. Warner Brothers are trying to make things right, and this is something that they're trying to do right now. It seems like they just greenlit. It hasn't been official yet. But basically, Margot Robbie, when she was getting excited about playing Harley Quinn, she went to the board and she pitched a film that is going to feature a cavalcade of female heroes and baddies. It's being written by a woman, but the idea here is just that Harley Quinn's going to be in another movie, and it's going to feature a lot of female DC characters on screen at once. So that could be like Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Huntress, Batgirl, Batwoman. There's a lot of people besides Harley Quinn. And if this is a real thing, if this is going to be one of those films before 2020, that's going to make Marvel look really, really bad. Considering they've continually told fans, no, you can't get a Black Widow movie. No, we can't let you have a film starring a female superhero until Captain Marvel, which is coming out in 2019.
I mean, I don't know. The way that you're putting it makes it seem much more harsher than it is.
No, I think it's just funny.
As far as the Black Widow, sure, I guess. I mean, I don't. As far as the conversation behind it, I don't necessarily care.
This is always, the same.
I just want a strong movie to come out.
Shane Black had this.
This promises something different. If this works out well,
Shane Black had this interview this week. Trying to publicize the Nice Guys, where he said that the original villain in Iron Man 3 wasn't the Mandarin, it was a woman, and Marvel said, no, you can't do that because we have to sell action figures.
Okay, are you sure that's Marvel or is that Disney?
It doesn't matter. It's the same.
Disney has, but Disney has been criticized for so much stuff like...
Yeah, that's why there's a female star.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, hey, they don't have shirts of Gamora on them or any action
they're trying to get that
Star
right.
Star Wars, there's nothing for Rey. Yeah.
I'm saying they're trying to get that right by having Star Wars star a woman, but no, it doesn't matter if this was Marvel or Disney. The fact is that this is something that he said. Who knows if it's true? It doesn't matter. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is that we've been having Marvel movies for over a decade now, and there has yet to have one star a woman. Why?
We're gonna get one.
That's
the basic answer there.
That doesn't mean anything, though.
People seem mostly upset, though, that Black Widow is not one of them, whereas, I just don't think for that character it's necessary. I mean, that's a compliment to that character. I would rather have her remain an enigma in that universe. The less you know about her, the better. Age of Ultron kind of gave us a bit too much.
You can have a movie star a character and not reveal anything about them. That's possible. Look at Thor Dark World.
No, she is a big part of it. What?
I said look at Thor Dark World. Look at Batman versus Superman. You don't learn fucking shit about Superman in that movie. He doesn't even have more than 10 lines of dialogue.
But you're also mentioning in between movies that are meant to build up the next big thing. Thor: The Dark World, that was Iron Man 2. Batman v Superman, that was Iron Man 2. It's there as the only character, this big giant thing that they're creating.
The only female star Marvel's had, besides Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which doesn't count, is Jessica Jones, which, mind you, is a great show. It's not just a great Netflix show, but it's a great TV show, period. Kristen Ritter is really great in that. But Marvel didn't make that decision, really. That was a Netflix decision. That wasn't a Disney decision. And if this is true, like I said, if Margot Robbie does have that power, if she is, getting a movie made starring her character and other female badasses, it could be a Birds of Prey adaptation. It could be a lot of things. No one knows. This is just a pitch right now that's under wraps.
Well, I think that this is really something exciting that Warner Brothers could approve of more easily. Disney, I don't know what the hell's going on, because I know that the criticism is there largely on Marvel, but I think Disney is the final dog that has the say there, and that's why that's not happening. So
it's also, to be honest,
that's where I would point.
Marvel
my finger at,
doesn't.
mainly.
I mean, DC has these characters. They've always had these characters that are just iconic and part of pop culture imagery. Marvel doesn't, especially when it comes to women. They just don't. Like, the ones that they do have are part of X-Men, and they obviously can't make those movies because, Fox does. I mean, look at, Jean Grey is a major character in this next X-Men Apocalypse movie. And she was, prior to that, in the Bryan Singer... Well, you can't say Bryan Singer trilogy because he didn't direct Last Stand. But whatever, those first run of X-Men movies before they rebooted the franchise were... Not rebooted, but... fixed it, okay? But yeah, it is a problem, because in Disney animation, it wasn't, Zootopia, for instance, stars a female detective, and that's a big part of the film. It's not that she's a woman, but it's that she's a bunny, and that bunnies can't do this. And there's great...
I mean, that's a big part thematically of what it's about.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah. It's like, you're a bunny, you can't do it, but weird. You're watching it, and you go, it's because you're a woman, I get it, this is commentary.
It is very weird and hypocritical, especially with Disney animation and just them reviving their older properties. Then there's Cinderella, and then there's Maleficent, there's Frozen. like they're
all about women.
They have this movement where, you know, they're just kind of defying all the gender norms, like in their narratives, and are like. Then when it comes to toys, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah, but you can't make a doll of Rey, or you can't make a figure of Rey. Sorry, just you can't do it. You can't put her on a T-shirt. Hey, you want to make the villain in Iron Man 3 a woman? No, you can't do it. Like what?
I don't know.
I don't know how to make sense of this.
I don't make those kind of decisions.
That's why we have these conversations to go, what the fuck is going on, Disney?
Like, why everyone has these kind of conversations.
Get your shit together.
I mean, I personally thought the Rey stuff was really over the top. Like, the fact that they made a new Star Wars trilogy starring a woman Jedi should be cool enough. You don't have to bitch about her not being included.
Not a Jedi yet, but...
Whatever. Semantics.
We'll see where that goes.
But the fact that she wasn't included as a piece in the Star Wars Monopoly or on T-shirts and dolls and all these things, it's like, I understand that's kind of a problem, but it's like drawing straws. It's people being really mad. Like, you went to see the movie. You didn't go to buy the shirts. Like, yes, that is part of the movie. That's part of the vehicle. Like I said, with
but keep
DC.
in mind, though, there are kids that are growing up watching that movie that are going to wear shirts when they go to school, that are going to play with those toys.
You already know this Halloween Rey is going to be, like, the top-selling costume. You know? Like, maybe Spider-Man 2 or whatever, Batman, whatever's always a bestseller. But Rey is going to be the new one. That's going to be the new cool one. All the girls are going to want to be Rey. And that is good enough for me. Like, I think that's exciting. She's going to be a main character in the Lego Star Wars game that comes out next month. Like, she's got her due. It just wasn't instantaneous. And I think that's why people are mad. They wanted it all right then, all right now. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, Disney...
It is something that I think makes sense, though. Like, of just, like, why are you not doing this?
Problem,
like, at least in the long run.
This is the problem with the Star Wars argument that people forget. Star Wars is kept under wraps. No one knows what's going to happen in the movie. And so, do you really think the toy manufacturers are going to know that this girl character who's barely seen in the trailer is going to be the star of the new franchise? No. How are they going to make the toys beforehand? They knew there was a black guy. Make some toys of the black guy. They didn't... Look how much...
I don't know how collaboration works.
That's not collaboration.
With these things, but... I don't know how it works,
like
how marketing has to deal with this stuff. But
EA said the reason why Star Wars Battlefront didn't have a campaign, and it's probably a fucking lie, but they said the reason it doesn't have a campaign is that Disney didn't allow them to have any of the plot details to incorporate that into the story mode. Like I said, it's probably a lie, but it could be true, and if that's the case, that's why Star Wars Battlefront is a piece of shit, and that's why no one buys it anymore. I tried playing it the other week. This isn't me hating on it. I literally couldn't understand why I was playing it, and I wanted to. Just bad product. But yeah, there's something wrong in the air. But you got like 5 minutes.
My alarm will go off when I'm done. So
I'll end it with this item for our conversation. And I think I'm just going to try something new, and I'm going to keep going once you leave, and I'm going to read the news to people on my own, like a news anchor. But I think there's enough with this next one that it should spark a good conversation until you have to leave. So Universal, they're playing catch-up. They don't have any superheroes. They have their Monsters universe. They have, Jason Bourne. Well, guess what? They're looking to make another cinematic universe, and this one is going to be based on the works of the Jason Bourne author, Robert Ludlum. It's beginning with the Jansen Directive starring Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and who knows where it's going to go from there. But the idea is basically to incorporate, multiple of his characters, maybe Jason Bourne in the future, maybe there's some kind of backdoor in this latest film, but just to kind of use a world that he's created, use these characters, use the name of a well-respected author in the same way that, Tom Clancy is, and hopefully they can bank on that to really have another surefire hit to compete with the other big boys in Hollywood. I don't get this. The Monsters universe
I don't either.
Was what they needed. That's already in action.
We still need to see that.
Yeah, we need to see this Mummy movie. Waiting. Everyone's excited about the Tom Cruise, Russell Crowe thing. Yeah, hopefully it's amazing. They already got their cinematic universe. No other studio has two. Sony doesn't have two. Warner Brothers doesn't have two. Well, I guess they have Harry Potter. But Disney doesn't have two. They just have Marvel. Why are they trying a second one?
it really feels like this movement is going to die off real quick, or like someone is going to get it killed, and I don't know who's going to be the one that does it. I mean, we're already at risk of being overexposed.
We are overexposed
before we even got everything else. So
like, they already, last year they surprised everyone. Furious 7 made $1 billion. Minions, Jurassic World, they had $3 billion grossers. They had Straight Outta Compton. They kicked major ass. They couldn't fail last year, basically. And
yet Star Wars still made them the second highest grossing
I announced it on the show. We all knew that was going to happen. People were crazy. It was just, we won until we can't win.
It's like, look at all this stuff. But we got this one thing.
But it's
this one
still amazing. They have these proven franchises. I just named a lot of them. And yet they're trying to do something else. Like, wasn't it good enough that they got a Jason Bourne movie with Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass this year? I guess not.
It's never enough for these guys right now. Like, it just seems like
they did just buy DreamWorks.
You gotta get more. So. You got to make more money somehow. Oh, hey, we made 5 movies that crossed $1 billion last year. No, we got to keep going. Like, it's.
DreamWorks Animation,
that is the nature of the business, is that once you reach a high point, you cannot go back below that. You have to keep on moving forward.
It's like I said, I bet you their next cinematic universe is going to be the Woody Woodpecker and Friends cartoons.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. That one makes sense. It's going to be like, hey, imagine if DreamWorks and Illumination worked together on that. Like, it was kind of like every other year, or like they could do 2 films a year because each studio only did 1. It's possible. And it would also, in terms of tone, like what they're doing, because they still own the rights to, what's his name, Wacky Rabbit or whatever, Walt Disney's original creation.
Wallace
Rabbit?
Waldo the Lucky Rabbit.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't, it's not Waldo, it's...
some Wallace or Waldo.
It's Walslow or Winslow.
Walslow, something like they own the rights to that, so it'd be funny if they could put that out there. Because what I don't understand about Disney, Mickey Mouse is there.
Actually, I think it's Oslo.
Yeah, with the O?
Shit. Yeah, just Oslo.
It's funny.
I want to look this up now.
Mickey Mouse is Disney's mascot, and yet when was the last time he had a theatrical release? Like the 1950s?
He hasn't even... Like he's never had a movie.
No, he's had movies. I mean, besides Steamboat Willie,
he's always been like some sort of short, but like there's never a big main movie.
Fun and Fancy
Mickey
Free.
And the Beanstalk.
Yeah, that's that one.
Was the last time that Disney voiced him. There's Mickey's Christmas Carol, which that's my favorite.
And most of those are direct to video.
It's Oswald the Lucky Rabbit,
okay.
By the way.
Yeah. But it's just weird because I would think, especially with the way Disney Animation is pumping out things, that they would make a Mickey Mouse film, because that would make buttloads of money, and obviously they don't need it. It's Disney. But why are they satisfied with just having them in the parks and putting them on the Disney Channel on like House of Mouse and things of that nature and like the kids shows? Like, why don't they swing for the fences? Like, why is Kingdom Hearts satisfying enough for them?
I don't know. I'm sure that they've tried to think of how, but...
What do you mean how?
Disney...
you got Mickey Mouse, you got Minnie Mouse, you got Donald Duck, you got Daisy. Like, you got all those characters. You got Huey, Louie, and Dewey. You got so many of those characters that are already set up.
I'd like to see more shorts, like, with Mickey Mouse, probably before Disney flicks.
That would be perfect,
Get a Horse, but... A movie necessarily? No. Like, and this is just, like, for the sake of art that I want to say no, because I just don't want to know... That's my alarm. I'm going to make this point. I don't want Mickey Mouse as a character to be developed. He's always been a mascot. Just keep it simple. Having shorts before movies, that would be cool.
Great.
Like, as just a way to appeal to people. Like, do it in the old-fashioned way where you got shorts before the movie instead of 15 trailers.
Look how great the Goofy movie was, though, and that was around Goofy. And no one thought that was going to be good. It turned out to be great.
Was it good?
No, it's legitimately good.
A lot of people loved like that with nostalgia.
No, maybe an extreme Goofy movie, the shitty sequel. But that original one was really fun. They introduced a new character. They gave Goofy a son. Like, the fact that he didn't have a mother was a plot line that just wasn't followed through. There's probably some real tragic story there with, like, his wife dying. Because if you think about it, Goofy never got a wife. And all of the other Disney main characters did. Yeah, but Pluto probably even had a love interest at some point. And No, it's a good movie. I mean, Pauly Shore is a voice actor in that too. Maybe I'm biased, but the way that they're able to reuse Pete as a villain, but yet not in like, well, as an antagonist, not a villain. Like he's not mean spirited, he's not evil. He's just the father that Goofy's going up against. Everything about the movie's fun.
There's typically enough to make him a villain, though. Like he's vilified just enough to be a fucking despicable, not human being, but
it's the way he's drawn. It's just his personification and the fact that he is Mickey's
especially
original
like
villain.
in some of the cartoons, or I'm kind of projecting the classic ones.
Steamboat
Willie. He does some awful shit.
Yeah, like he was a bad guy back then. And he's continued to be a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But my point basically is that if Goofy,
I gotta head out,
if Goofy can get a movie, Mickey Mouse at some point should get one. And it's weird that they'd rather do Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Marvel stuff than go back to the well and reuse.
It's working out financially.
No, it is working out,
though,
but it's just like I'm thinking about this is like the first time I've really thought about it. It's curious that they're making live action adaptations of their proven classics and all of this stuff, and making great original stuff at Disney Animation, and Pixar is doing their thing, and they don't tap into their original moneymaker. The reason why all of Disney exists, it was because of Mickey Mouse. Like, he was the golden calf. He was movie.
It's just kind of funny, you sort of criticizing Universal for trying to get a second cinematic universe going, and then, just kind of wondering, hey, why isn't Disney also doing this?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know, just that back
this
to back.
thought process began when I said, why is Universal going for 2? And now I'm going, why hasn't Disney gone for another one? Like, because I would like to see that Universal animated one that I've mentioned multiple times now. But Disney has the ability, and they have the audience, and they have the cult around their products, that it would be, make more than Zootopia did. And that was a huge hit.
I'm sure that these ideas are out there, but they got a lot of stuff on their plate. They got a lot of stuff that they're trying to create.
Okay, this is what it is.
It's not
ready?
Like all of it can get made.
Okay.
What?
So Jon Favreau, when he makes his Magic Kingdom movie, there's gonna be a backdoor. There's gonna be a setup in that film to make the Mickey Mouse feature film. That's gonna be what it is.
I'll take your
Maybe
word for
Mickey
it,
Mouse is the main character of Magic Kingdom, and that's why it's been taking so long to be made.
As much as I love Disney, and I freaking love Disney animation, and especially classic Disney animation, I am not as much of a hardcore geek to know anything about that stuff, like, or even care. Like, I don't need a Disney Mickey Mouse movie in my life, but I'm sure that one will happen one day.
I think it will happen in the next 5 years. Like D23 this year, they're gonna go, guess what, guys? I've been doing good things. Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones. We're trying new. We're trying to teach old dog new tricks. Well, how about old mice? And the crowd goes crazy, and they're like, "Yes, that's right, folks. Mickey Mouse is making a comeback. The Mickey Mouse movie coming 2025." And I could see it. And it's gonna be like the first movie to make $2 billion internationally. It's gonna surpass Avatar.
All right, but I do need to head out right now. So
just you can stop the recording.
I guess you're gonna keep going. You're really gonna record this?
Yeah, I'm gonna try something different. Yeah, it is. I mean,
we need
why not?
I think this show has been at its best when we've had like at least a 3-way dynamic going on or something here.
Let me try to just masturbate for everyone. Let me try to go by myself.
All right. Well, I'll drop everything off and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Right. Clap for Steve.
All right. See you later, guys.
See ya. So yeah, we just talked about the Universal shared universe. Sorry that went on a tangent. That's how I work. But this is going to be straightforward. I should be done with this in the next 20 minutes or so. Netflix, they're trying to change the way TV works, and they kind of have successfully. For $10 a month, you can stream everything to your heart's content, including Marvel properties like we were talking about earlier. And one of their bigger shows of the last couple of years is Narcos. You've probably seen it. It's about Pablo Escobar and the drug triangle, blah, 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 Colombia, all those things. Well, it's actually coming to TV. The first season is set to air on Univision as a way to court the Spanish viewing audience, Spanish speaking audience rather. And the fine print here is that their co-production on their El Chapo film is going to air on Univision first before hitting the streamer. this isn't exactly new ground. If you follow what happens on home video, Netflix pushes all of their seasons out on DVD and Blu-ray after they've streamed. I think it's something like 4 months. House of Cards, probably the Marvel shows. I haven't checked on Amazon. You can get them on disc. But it's interesting that they're going to the means of the medium they try to kill in the first place to get more subscribers, basically. I think the idea here is there might be some kind of attachment on these episodes on Univision. Oh, you really like this episode? Instead of waiting an entire week, you could go online, watch it all right now, and not just this season, but the next season, the season after that. Well, I'm curious how this turns out. If it is a success, I wouldn't be surprised if in other countries it becomes a thing, especially with marketing that works out to their advantage. Like maybe if we had a time machine, Lilyhammer in Russia would be broadcasting there. But moving on to the smaller screen, at least when it's really close to your eye, it's huge. IMAX is looking to bring VR to the world. At Google I/O, which I'm going to be getting to in just a second here, they announced that they're working in collaboration with Google on creating a camera that's able to mimic the cinematic look in VR, and that's really cool. But what they're doing here, the news item, is that they're looking to bring VR devices to multiplexes and malls this year, beginning in LA. It's going to go other places. I think there's like 6 markets this year, including China. But the idea here is that it is not a VR movie theater experience. Instead, it's going to be a kiosk type thing. It's looking like it could replace arcade cabinets in movie theater lobbies, or just be a random thing when you're in a mall. The price point currently is 10 minutes of VR for $10, which isn't too bad, especially when it's still a new and expensive hardware. I mean, I'm paying $500 plus tax for my VR headset. Google Cardboard's only $30, but this is the real thing. This is going to be something that they've made on their own. It might be Google's Daydream initiative, might be their own tech completely, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is Oculus or maybe Samsung Gear. But who knows? We'll find out 4 months maybe a little sooner than that. I was looking to do Oculus test this week. I wasn't able to, so my impressions will be later on that. But when this comes, if it's not too far away in LA, maybe I'll do it and let you know how that turns out. Last headline here, and I'm sorry Steve isn't here because this would be a great conversation. We kind of went on too long. I'm sorry about that. But BitTorrent has launched a live streaming app called, fittingly enough, Live. And it works by leveraging the peer-to-peer tech at the heart of torrents to broadcast their partners' content. This is 100% legal. I can't stress that enough. This is not a way to watch a live stream of, a soccer match that is being pirated. This is being done in collaboration, and not just with sports, but also news, maybe live feeds in the future. But if you don't know how torrenting works, basically, the more people that are doing it, the faster it works. And that's the way that this is going to happen. So the more people that are watching this program, the better quality it's going to be, the less latency it's going to have. And it's going to be, I hope, the first step to public adoption of the technology. Because it gets, torrenting gets a really bad rep for no reason, really. I mean, yes, it's because it is a means of getting illegal items on the internet, but the technology itself is much better than direct download or file sharing. It just makes sense. I think even the government used torrenting, and if you listen to our show and you want to download it, you can do it through torrents. Like, that is a possibility. It's 100% free and legal. But, this is launching on Apple TV this week, and it's going to be everywhere else come June. So adoption rates could be high, and I hope that this is the beginning of, instead of people turning to something like, like iTunes to download their movie, or using like Sony themselves on the PlayStation Network to download like a video game, which can take hours and hours depending on how like flooded the servers are with traffic, that you could be seeing major corporations using torrenting technology to allow you to download their stuff peer-to-peer. Obviously, there's a problem with that just in the fact that if you own a file, or not own, but if you have a file on your property, that you could put it on torrenting for the wrong reasons, but I do hope that the tech, at least, is used for the right ones. And talking about tech, as I said, if you are a fan of the show, I hope this is your favorite section. A lot of stuff happened at Google I/O this week. It's an annual conference. You know, a month or so ago, we were talking about Facebook F8, where they announced their cool stuff. We usually talk about CES, E3. It's hard to say usually because we've only existed for a year. But Comic-Con, anytime a lot of people come into one spot and a lot of news happens, there's a reason to talk about it. And I/O is no different. And there's 4 or 5 major things that happened, but they're all kind of... They're not important, but they're cool. And the first of which being Google Assistant. It's the natural progression of OK Google, more conversational and Alexa-like, and it's coming who knows when, and that's for all of these things. They don't have dates. But it's just going to be the next step. It's going to have like bot integration. You're going to be able to say, what's the weather like today? And maybe she'll respond, it's going to be like 6 degrees and cold. You say, oh, should I bring an umbrella? Yeah, it looks like it might be raining. I hope you don't get wet. Like, it's something like that. It's trying to make it more humane, much more friendly. It's being called Assistant. You know, up until now, it's been called OK Google or Google on Tap. And they're trying to push what's possible. And this kind of comes into play because it's going to be implemented in their new device called Google Home. It's their version of Amazon Echo, but it leverages Cast technology to play videos on TVs or play music throughout the house. And it won't do things like order pizza or Uber, such as Amazon Echo currently does. But it is going to launch this summer. This one has at least a time window. And it's going to be implementing Google Assistant to really make this kind of all work out. This might be troubling for people that actually know Google's history. They've had a checkered past when it comes to actually introducing hardware, especially stuff that they've created themselves. Most people think of Google, a Chromecast, and with good reason. It is a huge success. And coincidentally, the person in charge of Google Home is the guy that came up with Chromecast in the first place. But Android TV, the Nexus Q, really anything but their Nexus devices in the Chromecast, because I can't think of them all, but there's a lot that have failed. Messenger, just their apps in general. Look at Google Plus, for instance. Google Video, which was better than YouTube. I really wish they didn't buy them in the first place. Google Music, before it had its rebrand. They like to introduce a lot of things, and some of them take off like cardboard and some of them don't. But I feel like this could, especially if it's at the right price point. If it is a $200, or not $200, if it's a $300 to $400 device, it could be a hit, because this is meant to be a loudspeaker, which is something Amazon Echo does. That's really quiet. But this is troubling because, as someone else pointed out, I think it was Engadget, they just introduced OnHub, which is their own take on the wireless router. And if you have that and you have a Google Home, why do you have 2 things when you could have one thing be a router and a speaker? So I'm all for Google taking over the world, or at least California, with self-driving cars and everything that they have at their disposal. But I wouldn't pre-order this thing just yet. Just wait for some reviews. But something that I definitely am a fan of, and I think that this one's going to work. They showed off a new app they have. It's called Duo, and it's their answer to FaceTime. It's going to be on iOS as well, so it's going to work for just about any device you can have. The idea here is that it's super fast video calls. When you pick up your device and you decide to call someone, on the other end, what the person sees, instead of so-and-so is trying to FaceTime you, they see a sample video of what you have, even if they don't answer it. That way they know exactly who it is, what's going on, and this is going to be on your lock screen even. So I don't know when it's going to go live. I'm sure the beta is probably already out there, but there's like no buttons in the whole app. I think it's like 6 little things. It's like start call, end call, conference call, redial. All the screenshots I saw looked awesome. I'm sure there's going to be YouTube footage as well. But the final thing I got here from I/O, and it's huge, and like I said, there's a lot of things that happen that I'm not covering, including instant apps. What else? A new messenger called Allo. But the final thing, and the most important one, especially if you've listened to the show, is VR. So cardboard is something I already mentioned. If you don't know what that is, basically it's a piece of cardboard that you put your phone in, and then you can kind of experience VR. But they're going all in. There was rumors that they were going to get a headset that didn't require a device. It was going to use Project Tango to do like live tracking of movement. It was none of those things. This is more along the lines of Gear VR, but it's more than just that. So they showed off Android N, which is the newest version, which is going to be named by the users, mind you. It's probably going to follow the suites, but we're going to be able to pick what it is. Maybe it's going to be Nestle or Nescafe. I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now. But yeah, Android N is going to have VR mode baked in. And basically what this means is that it's going to be a supercharger mode available, but only on signified devices. Android or Google is going to directly pinpoint which manufacturer's devices are allowed to use this mode. So it's going to create more like an Apple infrastructure. It's going to have more oversight, and this way people that are starting to use VR as it is shown to be blowing up, or at least people are hoping, it's might be like a $10 billion industry next year, that no one's going to have a bad experience. But like I said, this is just going to supercharge your device. It's going to make the frame rate faster. It's going to make better buffer speeds, all kinds of stuff like that. It's going to unlock, overclock your processor, stuff like that. And it's part of the Daydream initiative. And this is kind of what surpasses Cardboard. And like I said, this is more like a Gear VR device. So basically, you're going to take your phone and put it in this headset, which only has a mock-up currently, and it's going to work just like Gear VR. Instead of using these little buttons on the side, however, you're going to have an actual motion controller. But on top of this, it's not just Google making this headset, it's also going to be all the partners, LG, Huawei, I can't remember all of them, but the real one that kind of stands out is Samsung, and that's because, yeah, they make the Gear VR. So they're going to be making Galaxy devices, a new Gear VR, a new Samsung phone that works with Android N VR mode, and a Daydream headset. That's pretty weird. I really hope that one Galaxy device is going to be able to do all four of these things. Maybe if they were smart, they would just fold Gear VR into Daydream, as in their next headset, their next Gear VR is just a singular entity. It works with both Daydream devices and Galaxy while being able to utilize the tech that they've worked with on Oculus and Google. It would be like an all-in-one. It would be the greatest thing to happen for mobile VR. But these head-mounted displays that Google is working on, it's going to have a new version of the Play Store. It's going to be a VR portal. It's going to include Hulu, Netflix, HBO Now, New York Times, and even IMAX. And that just continues that trend that I was talking about earlier with them working with the cameras, working with the devices, working with them in malls. But yeah, a good amount of exciting stuff at Google I/O. Like I said, that's just a quick rundown. You can read a lot of stuff, see all the mock-ups, see the new trailers, look at the new Project Aura footage if you're excited about modular phones. Not exactly something I can talk about, especially by myself. But two more things before I get into also rans, which aren't really that important because I gotta run for time. I'm pretty tired. But I was talking about Disney with Steve, and like I said, they are forward-thinking. Maybe not with Marvel, maybe not with not product placement, but in terms of how they get the toys out there. But or at least it seems like they're getting VR right. It currently, as of right now, if you have Oculus or HTC Vive, you are able to get a singular app that contains all of their VR content available right now. And it's mostly marketing materials, kind of like not trailers, but just like trying to sell you on the movie. Not the most impressive things, but the fact that as of right now they're making it all in one instead of having to switch from one experience to the next, taking off your head-mounted display and use your mouse and get it all set up and making it work. The fact that you can do it from the same place, that it's all ready to go. You have a lobby in the same way that something like Hulu works, or what's it called? I actually opened my phone to get this app open. On mobile, if you have Jaunt VR, it's the same way, because instead of looking at the North Face and Kaiju Fury and all the kinds of videos that they have through Jaunt, you can open a singular app and get access to all those. That's what this is. It's a lobby. It's a DVD menu, but in VR, which it's still early days, and if you haven't used VR, it doesn't quite make sense. But how an experience is presented is almost as important, or even more so, than the experience itself. The more immersed you are in getting ready to do it, the more ready you're going to be to let go of, you know, you're going to be able to separate your realities. You're going to be immersed more so than, like I said, clicking on the experience and then experiencing it. Like when you have this buffer, which is, or not even just buffer, but the way that it's queued up, which is something Disney's known to do in theme parks at Disneyland. You know, you're walking through this line, and yet you're also learning a story, you're laughing, you're having a good time, and then, yes, you get the actual experience. When you leave, it's the same way. So it looks like they're continuing that kind of idea with their business in the virtual reality realm. And like I said, one last thing, here it is for tech. Very excited about this. I don't even know why. But Motorola is going to be introducing the RAZR flip phone again. Yeah, you heard that right. You know those phones that you couldn't not see about 15 years ago, 10 years ago? The hottest phone on the planet before the iPhone blew up? It's coming back. You can see this trailer on YouTube or like sizzle reel. I think it's like June 13th when they're going to be announcing it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it has a touchscreen. They'd be stupid not to do it. It's probably going to be on Android. But it's for sure going to have the flip phone factor, which is something awesome because most people, most tech critics, me included, it doesn't make sense that we've all gone to a slate touchscreen device setup. Despite what kind of frills or bells and whistles a phone has, it's the same. It is a rectangular device with a screen that is most of its front, maybe a button on the bottom, some buttons on the side, but it's a slate. It's always called a candy bar. It's just flat. It's not interesting. There's nothing going on. It's a smartphone. It's not a feature phone. Like back in the past, there were music phones, there were camera phones, flip phones, sliders, horizontal sliders. Just about anything you could think of, there's a phone for you, and it really spoke about your personality. I remember this really cool phone, I can't remember who made it, at Sprint Nextel, where on one side it was a music player, and then on the other side it was an actual phone. It had this super stupid, like, cloth device that you would use around it, which is a charger, or who was it? I think it was not Samsung, but someone, it was like in between a flip and a slider. You'd like move to the side and it would flip up. Or like those really cool phones from the Matrix, but we lost that somewhere along the lines with the iPhone and everyone trying to mimic its success. Like you got a camera on the back, you got a camera in the front, and you got a screen. That's it now. And if Motorola is indeed bringing the RAZR phone back in this capacity, which I doubt they'd lie about this, I'm excited. I don't know if it's going to sell well. Motorola doesn't have the best history outside of, after Google spun them off as their own company. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a Moto 360 in the wild, even though those watches are really pretty. But they're not the only one, which just really, it's got my hopes up even more, because Nokia is being spun off by Microsoft, which means that they're going to be making feature phone again. So between the RAZR and Nokia, that's a lot of phones to choose from, and hopefully this is, like I said, the trend or the beginning of one anyway, where we're going to have choices again from a consumer standpoint, because modular phones like the LG G5, or I guess you can consider that one with its Friends functionality, is kind of a step in the right direction. But as I said earlier, Project Aura is more so, and just everything. There's a lot to be excited about tech. So I'm going to take a water break. You can listen to me drink. So there's a lot of stuff down here, and I'm not going to mention all of it. Just the two that are really cool, or interesting anyway. But the also-rans, this is the stuff that doesn't fit, like I said. The first of which is Kevin Smith. I like talking about him a lot. I don't think I've actually ever said this on the show, but the reason why I began podcasting is I went to the Podcastle, which was what existed before Smodco was a thing, and Kevin Smith did live in-person podcasts. You'd be in the crowd, he'd be on the stage with his friends. In the case of the one that I saw, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, he'd record in front of you. It was like he had a live TV audience, basically a mix between stand-up and recording. And so I saw that, I listened to a couple podcasts, and I started doing it for myself. So I'm indebted to him for that, and also my love of film and trying to be, a writer, director, whatever, and at least I can get the podcasts off the ground. But anyway, he's looking to make the jump to TV. He already directed an episode of The Flash last week, but this time he's going to be developing something, and it's going to be a new version of Buckaroo Banzai. Really cool. If you don't know that name, it's a cult classic from the 80s. It stars Peter Weller. It also has John Lithgow in it. It's really weird. They're supposed to make a sequel, and they never did. But what's interesting here is that he's trying to get lots of his film fans, and not film fans, but film friends involved, all of his peers. He dropped the names of Richard Kelly in particular, and also Peter Weller, who played, Buckaroo Banzai in the original. He's also RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1. And I think he's going to be the villain on this show. But no news on where it is. I would guess AMC because he's in cahoots with them, with Comic Book Men and everything else he does. But this is something to look out for because he's reinvented himself in the not-too-distant past. And this seems like he's really trying to take new challenges, do new things. Because up until Cop Out or A Couple of Dicks, whatever you want to call it, he wasn't comfortable directing something he didn't write, and then he was in Catch and Release and a couple other films. Up until then, he wasn't comfortable acting in something he didn't direct, and now he's doing TV shows they didn't write and maybe adapting shows, period, that I'm excited about what his future holds just because he's an icon, even if he doesn't want to admit it, and the more he can do means the more he'll be remembered for him. So, good luck to him. And I think the final thing I'm doing on the show, even though I got 3 other items I don't give a fuck about, is AMC once again. They're making a 6-part, hour-long docuseries with The Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman titled Heroes and Villains, The History of Comic Books. I'm excited about this. I don't really watch AMC. I'm about to watch Preacher, or maybe not. I'm pretty tired. But this is going to be his 5th show on the network. He has Walking Dead, what was it, Beyond the Walking Dead, whatever the other show is called, Fear the Walking Dead, that's what it is. Both of their after shows, that's 4, and this is number 5, plus he has that Outcast show on Cinemax. I don't know how he's able to do all this and yet also write The Walking Dead on a constant basis. So very, very busy man. Good luck to him. Like I said, I'm going to check this out. Not a fan of The Walking Dead, but I don't care. I'm really interested about who we can get. I know I would guess people like Frank Miller and Kevin Smith probably, and Joe Quesada, but who knows really? There's really no limit. Probably Seth Rogen on the show because he's tapping something for the network. But yeah, that's the whole show. Let me know what you thought about this one, especially the stuff minus Steve. I'm going to be editing this in a couple of minutes and it's going to be up soon. I don't even know I'm talking. This is going to be really weird. It was a leap of faith, but like I said, let me know. Either comments on YouTube, send us an email, brian@dollarreviews.net. I don't know, just anything really. Tweet at me, @dollarreviews, @Brian Gillis, whatever you want to do. Like I said, we're all over the internet. We're trying to get to you in whatever way possible. Hope you enjoyed the show. I hope your week is great. And catch you on the flip side. Have a good one.